regular school board meeting for Putnam County School District. We will have our opening, the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. David Buckles, followed by the invocation by the Reverend Ted Stackpole.
Please stand. Look at the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you bow your heads with me? Dear Heavenly Father, our thoughts this month are on the prevention of child abuse. We pray tonight specifically for children in Putnam County that are victims of abuse. Lord, there's a child tonight. He's going to face physical, sexual, or verbal abuse. Lord, would you expose the abuse and rescue these children? I pray tonight for the teachers, staff, and administrators in our school system. Give them wisdom in dealing with these broken children and their families. I pray for the children that they would find safe, stable families to care for them while they go through the healing process. Lord, I believe in the leadership that you have called to oversee the education and challenges that our children need and face here in Putnam County. I ask tonight for added wisdom and passion for their call and practice in our educational system. Bless this board and everyone who is involved in tonight's meeting with wisdom, unity, and success in their work. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
At this time, we will have our presentations. We're going to start with the FEA Teacher Leaders Program by Mrs. Tammy McCaskill.
Hello, Miss Tammy.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Testing. It's working? Okay. Thank you, guys. On behalf of the American Federation and Putnam Federation of Teachers, we would like to thank the board members for allowing us the opportunity to present on the agenda tonight. I would like to start by acknowledging and thanking my administrator, Michelle Higginbotham. In October of 2017, Ms. Higginbotham sent a team of leaders from C.H. Price Middle School to Tallahassee, Florida to attend the Florida Teacher Leader Training. While there, not only were we afforded the opportunity to learn about different tools and strategies available to help our students become more successful, we were able to network with other school districts on how to bring this program home. With permission from Ms. Higginbotham and our local union president, Mark Moto, I was given the necessary support to complete a competitive application process to be able to fully implement the program within our local district. Ultimately, after several months of waiting, we received the news that Putnam County was chosen, making us the 5th district in the state to have the amazing opportunity to implement the program. Through board approval, Mark Moda and I were able to attend a training at the AFT headquarters in Washington, D.C. to offset the program. The FEA Teacher Leaders Program allows a cadre of up to 15 members to work together to explore methods to promote student achievement and enhance the experiences of educators. Individuals take a proactive role to examine aspects of both the teaching and learning experience. Members take action to encourage change and improve policies and procedures to better address the needs of our staff and students. Participants become advocates for change and make suggestions to facilitate worthwhile initiatives that will benefit the education community. Through action research projects, teacher leaders make informed decisions that are driven by the data collected. Additionally, the selected teachers use action research projects as a reflective process to explore and examine professional practices. The newly developed leadership skills of the participants allow teachers to serve as liaisons within our community to develop and strengthen the union and to implement change and support within our district. Participants are required to commit to 9 monthly meetings on Saturdays for 6 to 7 hours to collaborate and support each individual's research plan. With that being said, we have 5 teacher leaders from Mosley Elementary School. However, before allowing them to introduce themselves and share their pitch, we would like to thank their administrator, Mrs. Sarah Jean McDaniel, for allowing us to utilize your school for our monthly meetings and for the profound amount of support as your teachers committed to the success of the program. Thank you.
I'm the guinea pig. I get to go first. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Samantha Brooks. I have my bachelor's in elementary education and my master's in exceptional student education. I've worked at William D. Mosley for 3 years as a kindergarten teacher. This cohort has given me the ability to communicate with individuals who ultimately share the same goal of giving students the best education they deserve. Therefore, I selected my case study to highlight the idea of rigor before readiness. Based on the fact that every year I'm seeing an increasing gap between students who have attended some type of pre-K or VPK versus students who have not. Thank you.
I have enjoyed thoroughly working with this team, and I appreciate the privilege I had in getting accepted into this leadership program. The one aspect that I enjoyed is the guest speakers we've had that have come to our meetings. Either we've had 2 phone conferences and we've had 2 face-to-face meetings with these different community leaders. One of them was our own board member, board member, Mrs. Pickens, and we enjoyed listening to, as she's come into her position, learning policy and state statute, and also what are some, is there a policy that she sees that needs tweaking or changing, or she'd like to be an influence in changing. We had Mr. Rufus Broom, who's a city commissioner, as well as an employee of Putnam County School in our technology department, and I learned so much by listening to him. And then we had Justin Campbell, and he wears so many hats. He's our city commissioner, he's community in the schools, and he is faced with policies on an everyday basis. And one of the questions we asked him was there a policy that you supported and that you changed your mind about? And he said yes, he did. He felt impassioned about something, and then as we got into it, he said he changed his mind. And because of one individual coming to the city commissioners' meetings and using their 3 minutes to voice their concern about an issue about mental health services for our community, and he was diligent in using his voice, and they are providing services, and it's directly from this citizen in our community making a difference and just being diligent in coming to the meetings and using his 3 minutes. And but the one I really enjoyed was Mark. He was our first guest speaker, and he talked about using your voice. You have an opportunity with these research projects presenting to the community. On May 18th, we have invited you all, and we invite all of you to come. This is not a closed group. On May 18th, it'll be at 10 o'clock at the training center, and I want to invite you to come and listen to our different research projects. Each of us has a passion about something that's happening in education. My project is about iReady, and it simply is iReady an accurate tool, diagnostic tool, to measure standards in our ESC kindergarten and first grade children, because that is my passion right now. This is my new job as a K through 1 ESC resource teacher, and so when I was looking at data, there were some things that go, and so that interests me in digging deeper and in doing more research. So come and listen to our projects. We're excited about it. A little nervous, but we're excited. And thank you for the privilege of coming and talking
What's
with
your
you.
name? I know who you are, but everybody else may
I
not.
thought everybody knew Miss Kathy. All right. I'm Kathy White, and I'm a K through 1 ESC resource teacher at Mosley Elementary. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Kathy.
Hi, my name is Amanda Winters, and this is my 15th year as a teacher in Putnam County. And I love the leadership program because it's allowed me to do research. And I'm talking to you guys because I'm pitching to you all. My research question is this: how has the policy of inclusion affected the performance in the classroom? I don't think any teacher here will say inclusion is a bad thing. We love all children. We want all children to learn, but it definitely has an effect. So in my research, I surveyed our teachers, all of our teachers at Mosley, thank you, Sarah Jean, and talked with other teachers, did a lot of reading and research. My pitch is, please come and find out what we found out about your teachers here in Putnam County and how we feel about having to deal with inclusion. And I'll just give you, I had a mental image on the way over here. I'm a mom, I have 2 kids, pretty easy. But imagine being a mom of 19 kids and it's dinner time. And you're like, well, I'll just make spaghetti tonight and salad and garlic bread, that's good. But out of those 19 kids, you've got 5 who can't eat bread. You've got maybe 4 who can't eat meat. That's the same thing with inclusion. And so imagine trying to deal with that every day. How do we prepare our teachers for that? So that's my research question. So I hope you guys come and find out what I found out. Okay.
Hi, my name's Ryan Davis, and I also work at Mosley. My research project is going to be on school attendance and understanding the culture that our school has in relation to attendance, looking at the interventions that we have in place at our school and what has been effective for us and what has been our limitations. I'm going to be the last person presenting here, so while I do that presentation, I'm going to reiterate what Kathy said on May 18th at 10 a.m. in the Putnam County Training Center. It's across the street from Mosley. You just come on over. It's all good. At 10 a.m., we all have our own individual research projects. The other thing I wanted to let everyone know is that we are applying again for the program next year. So we are looking to find other teachers who would be interested in joining us in doing research and learning to become leaders and promote understanding when it comes to policy and how it affects us all as a school, as for teachers and our students. Lastly, I would like to present the board with a commemorative plaque, and I'm going to read it to you guys, and we got a couple more for some other people. It says, with our greatest appreciation, presented to Dr. Richard Cernsey, Holly Pickens, David Buckles, Sarah Gilliard, Bud McMinnis, Jane Crawford,
No, correct.
for your unwavering guidance that helped in leading our path to success. You are being honored with much appreciation and gratitude on April 9th, 2019. And we have a couple more. One for...
And that's Sandra. It does. Okay. All right.
I
Sarah is a
apologize. I'll
virtuous
do it again.
name,
It's
but
in the garbage,
I'm stuck
get a new
with
one.
Sandra. All right. Okay.
We have one for Sarah Jean McDaniels.
Yeah, Sarah.
One for our union president, Mark Model. I don't have enough hands, but I'll get there. And one for Michelle Higginbotham.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Can we have all y'all stand out front? Let's get pictures out front.
You got it. Pictures out front.
Sarah.
You gotta make Sarah Jean get over here.
We want them to get a picture, but while they're setting up the picture, I would like to tell you all that we were featured in AFT magazine. I am the face in that magazine, and they're sending extra ones from AFT headquarters, so I will provide you all with those, and Putnam is on the map. Thank you guys so much.
Need them to squeeze in a little bit.
No, you stand right there.
I'm glad you got Kathy White down there. She always tells me what to do.
You're good. You're good.
All right, everyone will look this way. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
And thank you all.
Thank y'all for coming.
Hi, Miss Katie.
Thank you, Tammy.
Jane, where's that other plaque we have?
We gotta start hanging them.
Yeah. Pass that so everybody could see it. We want to personally thank Mrs. Tammy McCaskill and that awesome team from Mosley. We're going to commit, as many of us that can, we're going to be there and support you, because some of your questions that you've posed, they have kind of caused us to think and go, also to see what you found out. So again, we thank you, and we thank you for representing Putnam County in such an excellent way, to each of you. At this time, we are going to move things just a little. We're going to ask Mr. Todd Dixon if you will come and make the presentation for communities and schools, and then we will do our presentations of accreditation certificates to each of the schools.
That thing? Today? Okay, I won't. Good evening. Thank you all for allowing me to have a little time to speak. I will be brief. I'm here tonight to represent communities and schools and a rebirth of sorts. Many of you probably remember the concept of communities and schools from years ago, and it was pretty much unfunded for a long time because they went in a different direction. But through some happenstance, we discovered that we should do this again. And we've created a board. We've got our 503C or 501(c) back in place, and we've been working with Mosley Elementary School for about 7 months now. And I come tonight because part of this mission of Cities and Schools, which is a national organization, is to provide community support, empowering children to stay in school and achieve in their life. So we are reorganizing, and we want to have community partners. So Putnam County School District, of course, is a main partner in this enterprise, along with the other government entities. And, excuse me, as a primary step of this, we're looking for some financial support, of course. We'd like to hire a project coordinator who will work in their district, currently at Mosley Elementary School, but hoping to expand our services as we produce data and evidence that what's going on is productive. So I'm here tonight to ask for a $2,500 seed sum for a 3-year commitment from the school district to give us the impetus to move forward, which will provide us the seed money for a project coordinator, which will be a full-time position in Putnam County to work with our students. And that's pretty much it, unless you have other questions.
Todd, I've got a
Yes,
question. When communities and schools originally organized years ago, and Patty can probably help me a lot more with this, I believe the Chamber of Commerce had it as a part of their, under their jurisdiction. Do they still have this, or have they regained this?
We have not approached them again. We have just really kind of started from scratch, because the designation of the nonprofit was gone. And the state organization is reorganizing, and they're also looking at funding. So we're looking at some other things. We've gone to the county commissioner. We're going to go to the Chamber of Commerce, city commission, and that's part of our plan. We've already established a board of directors. We have our bylaws and all of those things that are in place.
Well, they did.
So the board of directors.
Patty Sheffield is the chair currently. Tom Townsend, myself, Justin Campbell. Yeah, Patty, would you help me? Okay.
That was her help.
No, she's got more. Lisa.
Leota Wilkinson.
Leota Wilkinson.
Aaron Robinson, and I think we just have like 7
Steve.
Steve Pulley.
And Steve, yeah.
Steve who?
That's our board.
Crowley. Steve Crowley from the library.
So we will expand our board, but to get
Right.
started, it was, this is how we started it. And Todd is right, it started with the Chamber of Commerce through the Business
Yeah,
Education
David's right.
Partnership. And it was actually gathering businesses to work with schools and partner with them and to help in many ways. And so from there, it became its own entity because there was a state office
Right.
for communities and schools.
Yes.
And we became
Right.
part of the state office. And now there's a national organization, and we're sort of part of it too, like down the ladder. But there is a state executive director who lobbies for us in Tallahassee. And you know how that can go.
Seems like we,
Sometimes it's great, sometimes
Right.
it's not so
seems
great.
like we had to had to work through workforce development to get some support for communities
Well,
and
we did a
schools.
summer program.
Program.
And I wrote a grant for that summer program. And we took kids from, they had to be 14 to 18. And it was at Jenkins Middle School, it was a summer program.
It was good.
And they had a work study program. And they opened a bank account and we did a field trip and.
Right.
And we had lots of.
Lots of good things, and we just don't know where this is going to go currently. Right now, we know that Mosley is a school in need, and we're focusing a little bit on rewarding students who come to school that have been designated to us, thanks to Sarah Jean's administration, that these children haven't had this. And we're seeing some good progress. I didn't want to bring the data because it's not really collated and not long enough to really see what we're getting to.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask, the $25,000.
Oh, no.
2,500.
2,500 seed money
For 3
that
years.
you asked for 3 years. This is not matching. And I guess my question wouldn't have been asked had I not had 25,000 in my head, because
No,
David
20
can write you a check for 2,500.
That's right. And
But
we
I was
appreciate
thinking
that, Mr. Buckles.
25,000 matching
No.
monies.
No,
But no,
we-
I'm straight now.
Yes, we truly anticipate that we will have some additional funding from the state organization. It's looking good through that. CIS had pretty much pulled away from rural districts, and they had focused on metropolitan, high population areas where they felt like they were going to have a greater impact, and so they were not doing anything in rural areas. But that attitude has changed. They have a very dynamic program in Bradford County right now in their high school and bleeding down. And so we're hoping to catch some of that and make it useful and grow it again in Putnam County.
And that's the question I had, excuse my voice, but I did meet with the state director last year, and I know they had some funding that was vetoed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you're looking at possibly getting an appropriation for this year?
Yes.
To fund it?
And it's looking good. Yeah. But it's gone through the committee. It's made it past that part. We don't know what will happen, as you know.
And let me say, if you haven't already said, that y'all are really focusing on attendance at Mosley right now. That's
correct.
It's been a big help, and appreciate your support
Yeah,
there.
the evidence that we have currently, but just again, it's too small a sample to be significant, is very, very good. Yeah.
Todd, what I'd like to do is direct the superintendent to look at this and to maybe speak with you and bring us back a recommendation. There's no doubt that we can use help.
Yes.
However, mission creep sometimes changes with different boards, and I would hate to see them or any 501c start working in a direction that wasn't congruent with our district goals.
Yep.
Although,
Agreed.
but I think they would be, and that's why I'd like the superintendent to get with you and then work.
And I will say, Todd actually came and met with me prior to coming to the board,
And a 3-year
just to let me know what he's going to talk about.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But we will come back next meeting with a recommendation.
Super.
All right.
You're
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
at Mosley now. What would be the future,
Well, Mosley is a significant issue at this moment, and we're working with a very small group, about 15 kids. So we're probably going to focus and expand on that. We've already been approached by some other people to, can you help us do this? Can you help us do that? The model in Bradford County is really focusing on their upper grades. They have a really dynamic program at Bradford High School. But we need to stay focused, and we need to stay small until we gain the momentum and the financial backing that we know would make us be able to share with other schools that have attendance problems, particularly elementary schools, because that's where our data is going to be, as how did we effectively deal with those students.
And once again, if I remember, in the early stages, Communities and Schools was based just in Palatka area schools, and it didn't go into the outlying areas. So that's why I'd like the superintendent to come back and see, just what is there. And I think it's a good job. You could probably get matching funds for the 2,500 and things like that. So
That's
we'll
our
meet
hope.
again, Todd, before
Yes, sir.
the next meeting.
That's wonderful. That's exactly the kind of thing I was hoping to hear.
when you came up here with Communities and Schools, I thought, please don't tell me he's left the college.
I have not left the college.
All righty.
Well, you
Thank
need,
you
you
so
need to
much.
see the college president and tell him that he needed the Chamber of Commerce.
From the Chamber of Commerce
needs to
point,
come-
that's right.
Come back as well.
Well, all of these kinds of things will help me, Mr. Buckles. I dare and guarantee it.
We just had, I had a brief discussion with Mr. Bowling this morning about community leaders and ideas of how to engage others in leadership positions and an arm that is supported by the chamber to get in and work on some of the identified needs would be tremendous.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
make that part of my next board conversation. Thank you.
All right, and thank you, Mr. Dixon, Mrs. Sheffield, and your entire committee that you brought here today. Certainly, we're going to do whatever will help to benefit our students in Putnam County and what our superintendent recommends to the board.
Todd, could you leave your contact information from Ms. Cormany, and we'll reach out to you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
All righty, you're welcome. Our final presentation for this meeting will be the presentation of the accreditation certificates to the various schools. Mrs. Laura France.
Thank you, Board. Dr. Cernsey, if you wouldn't mind coming down, and I may give the principals a little bit of direction, because there's a lot of you coming up. If you would please come from this way to get your certificate, and then proceed down, and we'll just take one large picture over here, okay? So when you're called, when your school is called. Okay, now I'm ready.
All right.
The Putnam County School District Leadership Team would like to recognize the hard work and efforts that the district staff, school administrators, and their school teams put forth continually that allow our district to continue our accreditation with Advanced Ed. Advanced Ed provides nationally recognized accreditation, the purpose of which is continuous school improvement focused on increasing student performance. To earn accreditation, schools must meet Advanced Ed's high standards, be evaluated by a team of professionals from outside the school, and implement a continuous process of school improvement. Accreditation is granted on a 5-year term. Accreditation demonstrates to our students, parents, and community that we are focused on raising student achievement, providing a safe and enriching learning environment, and maintaining an efficient and effective operation staffed by highly qualified educators. It is recognized across state lines, which not only eases the transfer process as students move from accredited school to another accredited school, but it also assures our parents that the school is meeting nationally acceptable standards for quality and successful professional practice. The CEO of Advanced Ed stated, Advanced Ed accreditation is a rigorous process that focuses the entire school and the district on the primary goal of creating lifelong learners. Putnam County School District is to be commended for engaging in this process and demonstrating a commitment to continuous improvement. As I call the school name, please come and accept your certificate of accreditation ratified by the Advanced Ed Global Commission at its meeting on January 29th, 2019, to proudly hang in your school's lobby. All right, and again, come this way. And it's a lot of work that our group did.
Yeah,
so
we know.
Very proud of them. Browning Pierce Elementary School. C.H. Price Middle School. C.L. Overturf 6th Grade Center. Crescent City High School. E.H. Miller. Interlochen Elementary School. Interlochen High School. James A. Long Elementary School. Kelly Smith Elementary School. Mellon Elementary School. Melrose Elementary School. Middleton Burney Elementary. George C. Miller Middle School. Aquila Elementary School.
Hello, ladies.
Palatka High School, QI Roberts Junior Senior High, Robert H. Jenkins Middle School, and William D. Mosley School. Some of these sites were visited by the team that came out to actually judge our school, our staff, our students. They met with families, they met with teachers, they met with our students. We have a great accreditation review, and we're very proud. And the last certification goes to Dr. Surrency to hang in our lobby as well.
Sit on the floor. I'll help you.
There you go.
All right.
Here's yours.
How are we going to do this?
I think probably some people need to go around in the front. Oh, yeah, you could. You could go around the back. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
How about from Brian, from you down, come behind Jane, maybe? And from Evelyn down, if you'll come behind on this side. And that way, that might get you all. Board, thank you very much for your time.
All right, this way a little bit.
How's that? Oh, okay.
Where the cameras pick your face up.
Yeah, we want to see him.
And we'll block the short people.
I think I'm fine just like I am. Or else get out of the way and let them have the picture.
Everyone look up here. 1, 2, 3.
Right here. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
That's a lot of work. Culmination of a bunch. Hello, Miss Mary.
No, don't think I want to.
Madam Chair, could I make a statement also just to close this out?
You may, sir.
First of all, I want to thank Ms. Cormany. She actually helped mount all these certificates. Pretty time consuming, but thanks to her. And I especially want to thank Ms. France. This whole process started, what, a year or two ago or longer? Yeah. And it has been very labor intensive, and you can't imagine the amount of time she has personally put into that. So congratulations to Ms. France. We could not have done this without her. So.
And to all of our school administrators, we thank you for the work that you do day in and day out, and from sun up to sundown. You give it your all, and we do appreciate that. We don't get to say it enough to you, but we greatly appreciate you. When you look good, we look good. So we thank you.
Well said.
All righty. All right, at this time, we will have our public comments. The public comment guide, very simple. We just ask that you, when you come to the microphone, that you will state your name and your address for the record. You will be given 3 minutes, and we trust that we will listen and that you will share with us ways that we could possibly make ourselves better as a district. So the first one we have will be, and we take them in the order that they are given to us. So the first one is a general comment on the subject of the valedictorians. No organizational name, no special interest group. This is just from Mr. Dan, all right, Lewandowski. And excuse me if I did not get your name correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dan Lewandowski. That's spelled Lewandowski. Forgive me if I speak quickly. 3 minutes and 15 slides means I got to move along. So I'm a teacher at QI Roberts. I'm also a parent. I have 3 children at QI Roberts. And I came from Clay County, where they have valedictorians and salutatorians. So in my first year of teaching in Putnam County, which was last year, I was surprised when I learned there was no valedictorians coming out of QI Roberts. And this kind of ate at me a little bit as it showed up on my local newspaper for Clay County, because they do have valedictorians. And I've thought about it for about the last 9 months, and I decided I would come share with you some of my thoughts. So first of all, through my research, it looks like Putnam County had valedictorians up until about 2013. That's the last record I can find of any valedictorians in Putnam County. And my purpose here is to encourage you to reinstate that practice of awarding valedictorians and salutatorians to graduating seniors. As a personal note, my children will probably never be a valedictorian, so this is not for personal gain. This is more about being a teacher and getting kids what I think they deserve. The consequences of us not having valedictorians, I'm going to state 3 main points. There's other minor things, I'll just skip them. First, we hurt our students by denying them an earned honor. And I'll get into more detail on that. Second, we deny our communities the celebration of our youth. And third, we're being inconsistent at best. We're being hypocrites at worst. And I'll get into detail about that. So first, hurting our students. In the last couple summers, I've taken vacations with my sons, and we've gone to visit colleges around the country. We've been to MIT and done their arranged survey of the university. Been to Ohio State, been to FSU, been to UF. My apologies. UF. Been to Embry-Riddle, been to other universities, and everywhere they say your students should try to set themselves apart. Show what they can do. Okay, there are universities that look at this as a good thing. Most of them actually do. And across Florida, most of the counties do give out valedictorians. I did a survey of the 9 counties in the area of northern East Florida, and including Putnam County, 3 do not give out valedictorians, 6 do. So we're telling our students, you now have to compete against all these other graduates who will get valedictorian awards, but we're not going to give it to you. So we're hurting them in the competition for college slots. And you have a slide here that shows you Clay County, St. Johns County, yes, yes, Marion County, Volusia County, Duval County, Bradford County, all yeses. The no's are Flagler, Alachua, and Putnam County. I didn't go through all the counties in Florida, so I'm sorry I can't give you all that data. Marion County was odd. They give out lots of valedictorian awards. We're talking about a high school last year that gave out more than 20 valedictorian awards. I'm not recommending that. But I want to know, there's a school in my research in Tennessee that gave out more than 40 valedictorians to one graduating class. I think that's an abuse of the system. I don't agree with that. Second, we deny our communities the celebration of our youth. Their grandparents, aunts and uncles, employers. The communities want to be able to celebrate. And I show a picture here of the front page article from the local paper in Keystone Heights when they had their graduation. Plastered on the very front page is the valedictorian and salutatorian. The communities celebrate this. Let's support that. Third and final made point here is we're being inconsistent. Last year, you see in my slide, we have 2 awards for the most valued athletes in the county. We celebrate our athletes and give them the highest award, county levels, okay? Next slide, we give out Teacher of the Year awards, Principal of the Year awards, School-Related Employee of the Year awards. We give it out to the adults, but we deny it to our academic best players. That's at least inconsistent and somewhat a little bit hypocritical. Why don't we honor them? Why are sports more important and we give it to them? So lastly, I would say in summary, if 13 was the last year we gave out this award, there's been at least 5 graduations with 2 from each of these 4 high schools. So we're talking about 8 students a year, 40 students who have not received that award, and they will never get that award, and they earned it. Okay, and from a personal point of view, my wife was salutatorian of her class out of Hawthorne High School. She doesn't brag about it, but guess what? I do. I like to say, my wife was salutatorian, because instantaneously, people know she's not just good looking. Okay? Right? All right. So across the country, everyone knows what it means to be a valedictorian or a salutatorian. At every university anyone's going to apply to, they know what it means. Let's no longer hurt our students. Let's give them the award that they have earned. And this year, perhaps, may be the most pure to give it, because no one's gaming the system. No one's expecting it to happen. Just take the straight highest academic average. They're the ones who earned it. And there's no games, there's no playing around, and give them the award that they have earned. With that, I would make one recommendation. If you're going to put it in, I would do like either St. Johns County or Volusia County. Their student progress plans have the best discussion about how to do it. Duval County, I don't really like theirs so much. And Marion County, I don't agree with giving away that many valedictorian status. Just my personal recommendation.
But if
With
they
that,
all have the same GPA, you have to.
so you make them co-valedictorians.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can, and that happened the first year I taught at my high school in Clay County. And that can happen, but not 20.
I remember a little bit about the 2013 decision, and it was quite controversial, but it had to do with what Ms. Crawford is talking about. She, as a guidance counselor, managed many graduations from Palaca High School over the years, and when we became in situations with weighted grades and
Online classes to boost your
online classes to boost GPAs, it became a real nightmare, and the principals pushed on this. But I would, send it to the superintendent to reevaluate it and let him come back with a recommendation and advise us on what
Right, after talking to your principals and
Principals.
guidance counselors and.
you'd have to do that, because everything has changed since the old Val and Sal days, and I understand why Duval and some school districts do it. I'm going to take the advice and the recommendation that the instructional people that deal with these kids feel like it's best. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind to have Val and Sal and co-valedictorians, but when you have 30 kids getting the same GPA, and you have some kids that didn't do as well, but they took some online classes and bumped up their GPA. There's a lot more
ways to manipulate it.
There's a lot more ways to skin this cat than what it appears. But
Understand that, and I got some sage advice from my principal, Miss Wood. I thank her for that. And my counter to that would be, don't penalize the kids who deserve it. Change the rules, write the rules better. Don't let people game the system. Figure out a way to prevent that malfeasance, I can't even say the word right, that manipulation of the system. Stop that kind of behavior.
Superintendent he'll contact, I'm certain, other districts and find out how they're stopping the manipulation of the system and continuing to do it.
We can definitely research that. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you very much for your time. I
And also, congratulations
We may
to
not have time for this.
That
year.
drum.
Yeah.
Mr. Lewandowski. If you saw his picture in the
Yes.
paper, representing QI for the drone.
Yes.
Drone, so great job.
I will point all the glory to my students and to my administrative support and to Ms. Coleman, Dr. Coleman, I should say. The support that I have gotten here has been outstanding. I did not get that in Clay County. And so I really appreciate the upper level support that I get that allows these students to succeed so well.
What you're doing for our students, we want you to be happy.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
And congratulations on having a Hawthorne High graduate for a wife.
You used to be one of her church teachers, if I remember correctly.
Long time ago.
Long time ago, yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you, Dan.
again, sir.
And good job with the
And for your
drawings.
research and yes. Okay, at this time, our very own Mr. Mark Modell will come and share with us on the FEA legislative agenda.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Mark Modell. I'm the president of Putnam Federation Teachers and a chemistry teacher at Palatka High School. And I can say that my sister was salutatorian at Palatka High School, and I can't take any credit for any of that, but she was proud to give a speech, even though people never heard her speak in high school. It was an experience for her that was it was a very positive experience for her and a challenging experience for her to get up and give a speech in front of her graduating class, as quiet as she was. But
And 3,000 people in the stands.
yeah, it was that was
I remember.
she had a good coach on that. I worked with her a lot on that to make sure she.
Wasn't that her principal in elementary school?
I think maybe you were. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I think that's why she.
I think I worked with her early on.
So, all right.
Sorry, Evelyn.
Yeah. The reason I'm before you here today, board, is because I want to just share with you a little bit about FEA's. That's our state union, their legislative agenda for this year. We kind of all know where we are. Most of this is going to be preaching to the choir, but I just wanted to share with you some of the details. I do have some handouts for you so that you don't have to, so I don't have to read it all to you. I'm just going to give you a few of the highlights. She'll take one and pass them as we do in class sometimes. That is FEA's legislative agenda for this year. These are just some fact sheet about some of the funding related statistics that, I'm going to mention a couple of them, but. And then this one, Mr. Dixon earlier said something, he said the S word that we can't say in Florida, which is strike, but I want to mention just, I want to let you read this about Florida's silent strike, which is the professionals leaving, educators leaving the profession. 4,000 vacancies this year, projecting 10,000 next year. So while we can't strike, it's happening,
Getting
so.
worse.
Yeah. So quickly, FEA believes that the path to achieving a world-class education system in Florida is grounded in three principles: student success, investment in public schools, and retention and recruitment. All three of these boil down to one underlying message that FEA summarizes with the phrase "fund our future." And I have some great little buttons here I'm going to pass out to you in minutes. I'd be proud for you to wear those. Some of the specifics in this legislative policy agenda include urging our legislature to enhance funding for turnaround schools, including for wraparound services. We know how important that is. Supporting instruction in high poverty schools and communities, providing competitive salaries, benefits, and pay raises that count toward retirement, rather than bonuses like Best and Brightest that do not count toward retirement. Increasing per pupil funding to the national average. Holding all schools, including charter and private schools, to the same high standards, honoring the constitutional authority of local school boards to supervise all the schools in the school district, providing funding for structured mentoring support of new teachers, incentivizing retention in the profession with extended and multi-year contracts, and lastly, addressing teacher shortage and student debt through incentives such as loan forgiveness, grants, scholarships, and supports for pre-service teacher programs. Our education programs in our colleges are suffering. We don't have people majoring in education in the state of Florida. People are not entering the profession, not even going to college to be educators in Florida as they used to.
It's going to get worse.
It's getting worse, yeah. Florida ranks 41st in the nation in per pupil spending, 46th in teacher pay, and I forget whether it's 47th or 48th in pay for our education staff professionals. Average teacher pay in Florida has declined 11.9% from 2009 to 2018 in inflation-adjusted dollars, and is more than $12,000 below the national average. Florida DOE projects that there could be over 10,000 teacher vacancies at the beginning of next school year. Average pay for bus drivers, parapros, clerks, food service workers, and custodians, all of our education staff professionals, is at or below the national poverty rate. Now, again, I know that I'm preaching to the choir here, but I just wanted to kind of just bring up speed. So all those details plus many more in the paperwork I just gave you. For these reasons, FEA has been pushing for a 10% increase in the per pupil funding for the state of Florida. This would bring us out of the bottom 10, but would bring us nowhere near the national average. So we would still be way out of the running for national average. I have a few asks for you guys. Okay, so I'm sharing this with you because I want you to know what FEA is pushing for, and I do have a few asks. One is you can see my red shirt I'm wearing today. I would like to ask you guys to participate along with many of our employees in wearing red on Wednesdays for the rest of legislative session. And this includes all of our administrators too. I'm glad some of you stayed. So wear red, be proud to wear red. Take pictures of staff members wearing red like we did on March 4th. Post them on Facebook. Tag them with Fund Our Future so that we can make our legislators see that we're all in this together. I would love for our administrators, district level and school level administrators, to participate in everything that we're doing, because the things that we're doing, wearing red, wearing these buttons, the different things, the walk-in I want to try next week, these are not actions against the district. I want to make sure that's clear too. You know, we're all in this together.
Yes.
And we want to make sure our legislators know that funding our future is extremely important. And while the Senate budget is a step in the right direction, the House budget falls short, and the governor's ideas are not good either, because he wants to do bonuses rather than salary increases. So wear red on Wednesdays, everybody, and encourage your employees to do so as well. I've got buttons here, Fund Our Future buttons for you guys, and anybody in the audience that wants one, you can have one as well. I asked FEA to send me more so that I could share with administrators. Pass them down. And again, I've got those for anybody who wants to see me after the comments here. And then this is something that FEA has asked us to do, and I'm going to try it here. We're going to try this. This will need some support. I'll need some support from the school level administrators on this too. Next Wednesday, April 17th, we're going to try to have a walk-in. And that's, we want all of our educators to wear red, and we want them to walk into school together. April 18th, our legislators come home. And we would like for them to see this joint
Sea
effort.
of red.
Sea of red, walking into schools together to support proper public education funding in the state of Florida. So I would love for us to, I need your help to support this at the school, so that, you know, the teachers know this is okay. This is not, we're not doing something that's against the rules. You know, this is all of us working together. I'd love for you guys, I'm going to share something with the superintendent, if you guys can send it out to everybody. I really don't have a convenient way of communicating with all the employees in the district, but I know that sometimes the district is agreeable to helping me with that, and I would like for you guys to help me with this one as well. But for a walk-in for public funding, for public education funding next Wednesday, April 17th.
And it's called a walk-in.
It's a walk-in, yep. Well, it'll be different at each school, because it's kind of when teachers, kind of when contract hours, even it's, you know, some people get there early, they can just kind of come out and join the group as they walk in. It's really more of a, I want people to record video, post it online, get this stuff on social media. You know, the big thing is get some coverage out of this, let the legislators know that we are all in this together, and our public education funding is dismal. You know, 41st in the nation per pupil funding. We cannot continue like this. So Fund Our Future is extremely important. So the walk-in, I'll send some information to you, Rick, if you don't mind kind of sharing that out with folks. And then the last thing, I would love if you guys would pass a joint resolution with Putnam Federated Teachers, kind of supporting increased funding, and I have a copy of that you can take a look at as well. Ms. Cormany informed me that that would have to go on the next meeting's agenda, but if you'll take a look at that as a sign of solidarity, because we are all in this together. We're not fighting against the board. We're not fighting against the administration here. We're all in this together. I think the Superintendent Association, the School Board Association, we're all together as well on what we're pushing for with the legislature there as well. So take a look at that. I'm not going to take the time to read it out loud here. It's a lot of those whereas and therefore. So. But it's basically summarizing some of these, some of the things that we've really got to address in public education funding in Florida, to recruit and retain high-quality employees, so that we can make sure every classroom has a highly qualified teacher in front of those students, so we don't have these open positions, so that we can keep people in the profession instead of leaving like they are in droves. Thank
Mark,
you.
back in about 2005 or 2006, the Superintendents Association banded together and looked at trying to file suit against the state for not following state constitution, which said education funding will be the paramount responsibility, and that became a big word at the time in that group. But education got punished in the long term after bringing that up, and it wasn't just the superintendents; it was FEA and everybody. So, you know, it's all a national thing. You understand? It's not that we're with you. I mean, public education is just that, and I know we've got homeschoolers all over the state of Florida now. Every alternative that can be given is being given to try to diminish the amount of money that they have to spend on education, because as raises increase over the years and you keep everybody employed, it becomes almost impossible in their eyes to sustain it. And then you have the other side that are just purists that want different alternatives. So, you know, I guess the superintendent will look through this and get back with us, and I don't have a problem signing the joint resolution. I mean,
And you will
our
put it
local
on.
folks are going to do the best they can to
can,
help us.
On our next meeting, we can
Yes.
bring that to your attention.
Okay,
Yep, absolutely.
most definitely. And thank you
guys.
so much.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you, Mark.
Buttons for everybody?
Oh, Lord, now I've lost my stuff.
Okay, that concludes our public comments. Did not receive any more cards. At this time, we are ready for our consent agenda for the board members. We'll start with Mrs. Pickens. Move to her right.
F2,
Hold on. Let me. All right, we're pulling F2.
Dave.
Oh, is Holly done? Is that
I'm
all?
done. That's it.
Okay, I have nothing to pull up. I was going to, I had looked at that, but I had some questions answered by the superintendent this morning, so I feel pretty good.
Okay. I have nothing to pull. Mr. McInnes?
F2.
F2, okay.
I also have F2, and Lennon is here to give us give us some more information about that item.
Okay.
So
All right, and so that is it. So if we can receive a motion
Madam
for the
Chairman,
others.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda minus F2, which has been pulled.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved by Mr. David Buckles, second by Mrs. Jane Crawford. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposes? None. Now, we're ready for discussion for F2.
Sharon, if I pull it up on here, do I take control?
That's Mike's, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It won't hurt me.
Okay, so we're talking about Remind. This is a call-out system that is going to replace School Messenger. What we use School Messenger for right now is to send email communication to parents, do phone calls, text messaging, let them know when their students are absent. If we're doing lockdown procedures on campuses, that's the most recent thing that we're using it for. Regularly lets them know if their students are tardy. So that's what we do at the district level at this, and they do it at the school levels. The schools also utilize some programs called Remind or Class Dojo for teachers to communicate with the parents. Let them know that, you know, homework's due, test is tomorrow, stuff like that. So what we're trying to do is bring all this into one package and then also gain some of the capabilities that Remind has as far as administrator oversight on communication, making sure that, you know, if the teacher says that, yes, I'm regularly communicating with my parents, we're able to pull those logs and make sure. Right now, we are not able to do that because Remind is a free service and we're limited in the capabilities that Remind gives us. So what we would like to do is purchase this product, get rid of School Messenger. It's been great, but it doesn't have a lot of the capabilities that Remind's boasts, and then just use this as our district call-out system. So, and I do have videos to share with you, and I can send that through y'all to email. It's a 7-minute long video that kind of summarizes
I'd like to see
the
it.
features. Can I pull it on? Okay.
Years ago, my conversation with the superintendent and Mr. Bowling this morning about this
Man, I
item
could
was,
pull it up here. I just
years
don't know how to
ago,
take charge
as
of
a
this.
principal, we purchased a homeschool communicator at our school, one of the first to do this. And we've had some obnoxious problems with this calling service that we've used that have just really aggravated parents. And I think this upgrade would be very, very valuable to not only communicate and help better coordinate things with our parents about their children, but to not drive them crazy as well.
Yeah, and so one of the things that Remind does do is, same as all the other apps that you receive, you can get notifications. So parents can say, I just want to get notifications on my phone. And they have the capability of setting that. So it would just be the same notifications that you would get with any other app that you install.
Yeah.
They can install it on Android or iOS devices, your Apple devices. So let me pull up a quick video. Again, it's 7 minutes long. And don't look at my email.
Who would have thought Miss Crawford would want to see the video?
You would think I'd be a better typer. No.
Ooh, IRS.
Changing paycheck
Well, if you
withholding.
can't, if you're not set up to get to it, then maybe we could watch it at another meeting. I
I
don't.
thought he was going to.
Yeah, it's,
Would y'all like him just to email
Yeah,
it?
just email to it.
But then we would not be able to
well, I think.
Not
it-
be able-
vote.
You may
I got
have
it right
questions.
here.
We,
There you go.
oh,
Yeah.
he got it. He
I
got it.
trust him too, so I'm good.
Yeah, I don't have to see that to vote.
Actually,
Do y'all
I
wanna
just-
see it, or I
thought
mean,
was
just
a
for-
really good program, and so I just wanted.
Everybody
That's the
to
only reason.
hear.
I wasn't
Yeah.
against it, I just
didn't know if it was taking the place of what we had or.
It is.
if
And it
a
is.
new program that's.
Well, let's do this. I can make a motion that we approve the superintendent's recommendation. And if it passes, then he can come back and show us this movie at the next meeting.
He could email the.
Or email,
That's
okay.
fine.
Either way,
right,
however y'all
Madam
want.
Chair,
I've got it pulled up now.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this
Acceptance of F2.
F2. Yes, ma'am.
Do I get a second?
I'll second.
It's been properly moved by Mr. David Buckles that we accept F2 and second by Mrs. Jane Crawford. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposes. Motion carries 5-0. And we have asked that Mr. Harvey
Will do.
will send it to us. Okay?
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Lennon.
Thank you.
Okay.
And thank the superintendent and staff for doing this. This was way beyond time for this. I get a lot of calls about it.
Okay. At this time, we go out of our regular session into emergency session. And we do have one item that was given to us. That's the 2018-2019 personnel allocations, change number 17.2, justification explanation, time sensitive.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation.
I second Ms. Crawford's motion.
Been properly moved by Mrs. Crawford that we accept this recommendation, and second by Mr. David Buckles. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Oppose the same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We are now out of the emergency session. We have no unfinished business. We do have new business, discussion, consensus to advertise amendments to policy, policy number 1590. Do I get a motion?
Advertise.
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 Okay. Consensus to advertise amendment to policy number 3590.
Advertise.
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 All right, consensus to advertise amendment to policy number 4590.
Advertise.
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 Okay. All right. Now, we are moving into our reports from the various board members. We're going to start to my right with Mrs. Jane Crawford.
I'm sure I'm not the only one that's glad the fair's over, but what a wonderful fair it was. Our kids are just amazing that showed in the fair. We had a really good time Saturday at the Catfish Festival. David got us a candy apple red truck, and we all piled up in the back of it and rode in the parade and threw candy. My arm's still sore because Bud and I had to throw it about a half a mile across the road.
I didn't know your arm was so strong. You knocked some kids down with that candy.
No, I never even got it close to it, I don't think. But anyway, there was a huge crowd at the festival, and you know, the work, especially a lot of the work that Rodney and JT and Randy and others did in preparation for the Catfish Festival. The Crescent City Rotary Club is amazing, and the amount of money that they have raised to benefit our students in South Putnam, it just is just a wonderful thing. I also wanted to mention how proud I am of Mellon and Libby Weaver and what they do at that school, and that celebration of Tokoi Brown and her getting her degree, and you know, that the support they gave her and her children. That truly is a family at Mellon Elementary, and Libby, that's under your leadership, and we just appreciate it so much. And the last thing I want to say is I had the opportunity Friday to spend a couple of hours at Mosley Elementary. Every time I go there, I'm just so inspired by what's going on at that school under the leadership of Sarah Jean and her administrative staff and her teachers. We went into various classrooms, and I don't even think they knew I was coming. The kids, you know, were all on task. They were all in groups. One of the things that I've told so many people since I've been there is there was not one school desk in any of those classrooms. The alternate seating that those teachers used, just, I don't know, it was amazing. And, you know, there's a kid here or there leaning back or not paying attention. But, you know, it's all like student-led instruction, and I went over to several kids to find out what they were doing, and they immediately could tell me. I think I scared a couple of them. They could immediately tell me what they were working on, and I even had didn't I, Sarah Jean, to help somebody with their math. That was pretty scary.
Did they get it right?
And I really hope I haven't scarred them for life. But I am so encouraged by Mosley, and I know in my heart that it's all going to be great when we get that school grade, and they're going to make it, they're going to surpass it, because honest to goodness, I don't know what else could possibly be done. It's just an amazing place. And board members, if you have the opportunity to spend some time there, you really need to, because it's just a wonderful thing. And that's all I have to say.
Mr. McInnes, thank you. Mrs. Crawford.
Good. I'm going to echo what Jane said, congratulating all the students, their staff, the support groups, the parents who participated in the fair. I know they were exhausted, they were excited, and it was good to catch up with some of the students over there and just to hear what they've done and their experiences. A lot of them I remember from Price Middle School, and I was actually interning at the time, and fancied that one of the former students named their pig Bud. So I fell in love with that pig. I took a picture of it.
All right.
Holly and I attended training last week in Tallahassee. It was with the day with the legislature with the Florida School Board Association. I'll get that acronym right one day. And it was good. Last time I was in Tallahassee, I was telling, and David actually was our tour guide at the Capitol, because Holly and I were newbies, and I was recalling the last time I was there, I was actually up with Liz Middleton's high school class. We made a trip there, and it was very informative then, more informative now. I had a chance to see the House in session, and we got to meet our representative, Bobby Payne, and just some good conversation. We also met our lobbyist with the school board, right?
Yes, sir.
And, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And It was good. There's a lot of information there. One thing that they did throw out to us one day was design thinking, and I think I've had that before years ago, but it was called something else. And if you think about, well, EIQWL with the Postal Service, but if you think about, they gave an example, Alka-Seltzer. What do you think of when you think of Alka-Seltzer?
I think of plop, plop, fizz, fizz.
Okay.
Oh, what a relief it is.
Okay, the deal was, they did the plop, plop, fizz, fizz because only people were doing one plop. They wanted to do two.
Shame.
Because that was a marketing thing, and it also made customers use two plops. So that was interesting to me, and hopefully we can use that on our board sometime.
Well, now, I used to, when I was younger, I would
Not
put a
pop,
whole
pop.
Alka-Seltzer in my mouth just to feel it fizz, and I remember Jane would put the laundry detergent packets in her mouth. And
Nice, David.
no, I'm kidding. That's a joke.
They know it's a joke.
They didn't have laundry detergent pods when you were a kid. I know that.
The day in the legislature, we did have a lot of people that came in to speak with us. The Commissioner of Education, Mr. Corcoran, and also the Commissioner of Agriculture, which I did get her ear, and Nikki Freed, and I invited her to our county, our district, to see what's going on in agriculture. David toured us, and anyway, I did have a small district report since I'm on that committee, and basically, I didn't actually get to the committee because we were involved in training, but the packet that I shared with Rick, there's many considerations going on, but nothing's still in the works, but it seems that the smaller districts are in better shape than some of the larger districts. And the fact that they're not taking away so much of the funding, but it's not all been in ink yet. Had a great time at the Catfish Festival, and it was great seeing some of those people there. I want to remind people on Saturday, this Saturday, April 13th, the IHS is having a golf tournament, and if you need more information, you can call the coach. Matt Yancey is supporting the Interlochen High School football program, the football team, and also on the 13th, I just saw this in the paper today, and I was curious about it. The Interlochen Library is opening a technology-based center, and I'm excited about that because it's well needed out. It's right across from the middle school and the high school, so what a better opportunity than to get that going on. It's an outlet for residents to gain exposure to science, technology, the STEM. A lot of baseball and softball events coming up. Secured my tickets to Newsies on the opening night, and I was just curious, and probably I was gonna ask you earlier, but I didn't get a chance with you. If we, with the way the legislation is now, that they want to give teachers a gun instead of more money, I'm just wondering. I was wondering about if we could have, Holly and I are not familiar with the Guardian program in the district. I just had a lot of questions after one of those trainings about, I don't know if it'd be a workshop or what, just to get us called up, just in case.
Yes.
Just on school safety?
Yes, because I know we had the school safety, and maybe I missed the opportunity to bring that up at that time, but I think, depending on what happens in Tallahassee, I think she and I should be grounded. You guys have already been through it.
Be happy to, yeah.
Okay.
Great.
We'll schedule that in the next month or so. Was that?
Well, I think Rick was quoted today in the Times-Union by somebody digging for something that really is not something that I don't think he's going to discuss at length. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And really, this whole deal about teachers carrying guns, we're not there yet. So superintendent will advise us and keep us involved on every step, because you want it to be a secret, whatever we do. And
absolutely,
these people that want to talk about it, they're just, we have a right to understand, and you do, to know what's going on, but you got to be very cautious.
I understand that.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Sharon, for this calendar.
Yeah,
too.
you were.
Thank you.
Very nice.
All right, thank you, Mr. McInnes. Mr. Buckles?
Catfish Festival was always real special to me. 40-something years ago, or I started after the first one, so I would go down and help cook for maybe 25 years. My dad did the swamp cabbage, and him and Holly's father-in-law, Bob Pickens, and several more, and that was neat. I enjoyed the parade. I like riding you guys around. That was pretty neat.
You did a good job, Dave.
Anyway, and without going into a lot of detail, real proud of the drone team at QI. That's just spectacular.
Yes.
I had a few things I really kind of concerned about. One was I had a conversation this morning, and I spoke with the superintendent and the assistant superintendent about Baker Act. And I'm not going to go into detail with that other than I listened to Mr. Stackpole talk about in his opening prayer sexual abuse, and I know some of the things that I've dealt with over the years, and they're still going on. And if you don't have really crackerjack counselors that can spot and teachers that are trained to look for this stuff, it can slip through the crack. And I have had horror stories of beautiful little children being sexually molested by their own parents for many years, and it's just horrible. But in speaking with this, I also have a grandchild that when she plays around, she'll say, "Oh, I'm just going to kill myself." Well, I sat her down not long ago and said, "You don't say stuff like that. If you say that at school and you're upset, they're going to, be concerned." Yeah. So, it's a very serious thing because you've got to know the warning signs and signals between a child telegraphing that as a shout for help or them kidding. And principals need to have the ability to have someone that's a little more, has a little higher level of training come in and work with the staff to help them identify a child that might be doing that. And Rick's got a pretty good plan, so he and Thomas are working on that, and I appreciate that so much. Traffic, it's that time of year with the school coming to an end. The weather's warming up, people wanting to go to the beach, people coming from Gainesville, passing every car on the road trying to get to the beach, and we just need to ask our local law enforcement to be cognizant of how people are going around buses and things like that. And I've still got I still want to talk to Representative Payne about the traffic light system at Bostwick. It's a bad deal right there on that curve, but it takes so many deaths in a certain amount of time before DOT will slow traffic down on a highway. So it is you and I have had the conversation, Rick, so something we got to continue to stay conscious of. I had a real interest in a conversation I had in Tallahassee about vaping and the principals knowing whether or not students are vaping in bathroom stalls between classes and keeping people from being able to go in there. And I know it's dealt as a regular tobacco violation, but I think it's something we need to consider. I don't know. I wouldn't have a problem sending a letter to the FSBA to try to unite and come out with them raising the age on use of tobacco to 21. I mean, I think it's a problem. It's been a problem. It's going to stay a problem, but it's something that needs to be looked at. But I know we've got getting them fed and getting them transported to and from school and getting them home and teaching them at the same time enough to keep from branching out. But it's something to think about.
Well, yeah, we can involve the health department on that too. They've been very involved in the anti-smoking.
Well, some kids in St. Johns County told a friend of mine that they can't even get to the bathroom in Menendez and different high schools, and if it's happening there, it's going to be happening here. Mm-hmm. And because kids are sitting in there vaping, and so it's just something to maybe look a little tougher at. I think it might help. And my last would be that in the next couple of years, I've seen them work really good. I'm very interested in the future of maybe a pre-K center somewhere in Palatka. If you could start looking in that direction, that might be something that would help us to concentrate more on the regular instruction and and the readiness skills in a different setting. It can be a very good situation. I listen.
Having them all in one place?
Yes.
So we'd have to transport from, like, both ends of the county, or having three?
Well, that would be up to the superintendent to decide what he did in the outlying areas, but it may be time,
As our numbers increase, that might be
an
appropriate
something.
step.
Yeah, but I know Rick's got a pulse on that, and everything does change. I mean, when you think you're losing kids, something will happen and you're losing kids.
You mentioned that for a couple of 3 years.
Yeah, I have, and I'm heartened by the community and schools group. I just don't want to see a group form and then have a mission creep on something that's counterproductive to what the school district wants. So, Superintendent, I look forward to you getting back.
We'll come back next meeting.
I am so proud of our people, though. The fair was great with the kids, and I'll go from there. I mean, Tallahassee was great. The superintendent has laid some groundwork, he and his staff, for some really good things, and I look forward to see what happens.
Is it looking favorable for Putnam County?
I'll let the superintendent report on
okay.
that.
Thank you, Ms. Buckles. Appreciate your
Okay,
foresight.
I just have one thing from my committee, the insurance committee. We met on March 28th, and Joe Albritton from Avail went through, and our trends for participation in our wellness programs and our incentives are helping with our insurance and motivating our employees. And we're going to have a meeting with United in June, either June 5th or 6th, I believe. And we'll get our mid-year evaluation, and then we can kind of go. Joe is amazing with all he knows about our insurance. It's incredible. And then I'd like to thank Mr. Adams for inviting me to the Miller Middle Outreach Project. It was facilitated by Urban Learning and Leadership, Dr. Pat Johnson, and I really expect some really good things are going to come from these 4 days. We've had 2 days last week, and we'll have 2 at the end of April, but it's just getting people to engage, your stakeholders engage with the school, and they've already done a gap analysis, and they're going to work how at first it was kind of frustrating because we didn't know exactly where we were going, but it's all aligned right with the school's mission and vision and the district's mission and strategic plan. So I'm expecting really big things, and hopefully it'll be implemented at the beginning of next year, if not the end of this year. So, and hopefully it'll be a model for other schools to follow, if they tweak it a little bit. The fair, one thing that I just really want to brag on to Dr. Shelby, FFA is back alive and well at Crescent City High School, and it's been about a 14-year hiatus, and he has Jackie Harden, a former student, a FA student, and she's our teacher there, and we had 5 kids participate in the fair with FFA jackets on, and one had to borrow a jacket from someone that probably graduated maybe 20 years ago, and jacket hasn't changed at all. But it was a little purple color from washing. The blue had faded, but it was great to see the kids out there.
Yes.
The Catfish Festival was a success. As Mr. Buckles said, ever since I've become a Pickens, swamp cabbage has consumed the end of March and the beginning of April, and it's a huge amount of work. But Mr. Hedstrom is like the beast cutter. Mr. Stout, Mr. Simons. I know Mr. Theobald's been out there, and we're recruiting Mr. Adams. But it's just great to see people that come from the district and come down to help the Rotary Club. And it's not you're not sitting in the air condition, you're out in the woods with bugs and
Snakes.
and all kinds of things. So it's certainly not really my cup of tea, but I'm very thankful for the people that have helped. And thank you to all of you for showing up. We had a great time going down through the parade and seeing people. And I went with Miss Gilliard through the Christmas parade, and she had students on both sides of the road. Miss Gilliard. So when we
It was your turn.
City, it was my turn.
Your turn.
And, it really was. That was great. And we did go to the legislative days, and I learned so much. I was fascinated when we went to the and saw the House at work in session. It was amazing to really see democracy working. It was really neat. And Mr. Buckles was a great tour guide, because Mr. McGinnis and I might still be in Tallahassee if we had to work our way through everything. But it was great. And so that's it. It was a good week. Busy, but good.
Yeah. And ditto for the Catfish Festival and the parade, as Mrs. Pickens and all of you have mentioned. And cabbage from the swamp, I guess it's pretty good. I did try some, and I purchased some to share with my aunt, because she's a food connoisseur, so she ate it. All right. Congratulations to Ms. Rhonda Odom. She's representing Florida as Florida's Outstanding School Business Official for 2019. That's awesome. Yeah. That is awesome.
Let me add something. Let me add one. Rhonda, I want to add one little thing.
I'll let you. Go ahead.
That last audit that I got a copy of, that was one of the best audits I have ever seen. Great job on you and your department.
She and
That's
Shannon,
fantastic.
just awesome. Just awesome. And she's going to Norfolk, Virginia. That's right there on the eastern shore where you can see the Chesapeake Bay. I watched that thing being built. All right. Testing. I got an opportunity with my sorority. We have adopted, the Zeta Phi Beta sorority, we have adopted Mellon as our school. And let me tell you, they have it going on, as Mrs. Crawford has already stated. All of our schools, you all doing some great things, and we appreciate you with Mosley and all that you're doing. But Mellon, on every corner there is a positive message there on the walls, growing and doing all of these things. And then when I see where Mr. Shipley covered the story about the mother receiving her license, well, she's now a licensed practical nurse. What got me out of that entire story is the fact that the school first embraced her. The mother thought that she was coming for a conference about her children. She walks in and they present her with the stethoscope. Awesome. But the message she's sending to her children, that school is important. And so we reap the benefits of that. And so your staff is just great. You're doing great things. And I appreciate it. And Palatka Daily News, we appreciate the coverage. That pretty much takes care of mine. Everything else, ditto to you, Mr. Buckles, and all that you're doing with us, helping to get secure funding and stuff as you lobby there with Mr. Browning in Tallahassee for our superintendent and all the initiatives he has in place and the things they have going on. And this board, you're awesome. And I just enjoy hanging out with you.
Can I add one more?
I guess. Go ahead.
I forgot to mention that I want to make sure all the board members, superintendent, well, he knows because he's in there, Mr. Douglas and anyone else who would like to attend the Kiwanis of the Azalea City Straight A Luncheon for our middle school students is on Tuesday, the 23rd. Oh, Rick, what time? 11:30?
Yeah, 11:30.
I think it's at 11:30, but we would love for
At the Shrine.
at the Shrine Club, and we would love for all of y'all to come.
and we're coming. I told you to turn mine. I do have one other thing. This sticky note came from Mrs. Carmody. She keeps us well informed. We have scheduled a workshop, so please mark your calendar for the 23rd of this month at 2:30 p.m. and we're going to discuss policy, and I'm sure that Mr. Buckles and Mrs. Crawford may have gone through it, but there's some language that will certainly help Mr. McInnes, myself, and Mrs. Pickens out, and terms and what they actually mean and what it says to us. So it won't take a whole lot of time, but it certainly will be informative for us to better do our jobs. So that's the 23rd at 2:30 in this place.
I may go or try to go back to Tallahassee one day. Holly's husband is cooking
I'll be there.
along in the rural days, and my son will be playing and singing in Tallahassee, so it'll give me a good chance to talk with some of the lobbyists again.
Thank you.
But I think we're in good shape. Rick's done a good job.
Okay?
Everything,
Mr. Attorney.
everything is going well in the legal department.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Superintendent?
Bear with me as I try to talk. Just a couple things. Thank you for working with our team on our goal revisions. I know each of our team members are getting with you and still in the process. And our next step on that is have a board workshop on June the 4th. If you can make a note of that. And on that day, we will discuss all the 6 goals of our administration, and you are a part of that, and then we will, from that, from that, we will be designing and developing our plan for the next year, so.
Did you give us a time?
We might need more than an hour for
Did we develop a time? I will
So you
notify
can email. Okay,
Just
thank
if
you.
you make another date.
Mr. Superintendent, it might be helpful if you were to jot down and work with your staff to jot down some of the really good things we have on, just a brief script of talking points in case the board, like Thomas was mentioning this morning, we go out into the community and speak. We can go to a church or to a Rotary or Kiwanis group, and we're on the same page and we know really what's going on. So it might.
Our state of the district, we could actually condense that.
That would be really good, Rick.
Alicia could do that for us and put that on a
thank you.
one-pager.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Speaking of Tallahassee, just I think I've mentioned it before. Our Public Service Academy appropriation request is still alive, and I know you talked to Mr. Browning, and anyway, we'll update you on that. But that's going to be really important for our CTE initiatives, so I'll keep you updated on that. One thing we're doing to help support that, speaking of rural days, next week, some of us are setting up a table, and along with some other members of our community. The chamber's really been involved with this.
my overalls.
Huh?
I said, do I need to wear my overalls?
Yeah, bring them on. But we are going to set up a table for the school district and show some of our STEM initiatives, show our banner. We've developed a banner showing our graduation rates, and some other things that we're gonna have a handout for our Public Service Academy. Appropriation request. And we're actually cooking. We're not, but the chamber is cooking a meal.
Crescent City Rotary is cooking.
Excuse me, the Rotary
Is that the same day
is
I'm
cooking.
talking
Sorry.
about? That's
we
the-
having leftovers
Rick,
from
that's the same day I'm talking about.
Same day, yeah. So it's a day where Putnam County will shine at our capital.
Yeah.
And we want to be a part of that. So we'll bring back information on that. Tomorrow, as you know, this week we've been doing our superintendent advisory meetings. We had one before this meeting tonight. Last night we were in Crescent City. Thursday night we'll be in Interlaken at 5 at Interlaken Elementary School. Come if you can. But tomorrow is going to be kind of neat. We're actually doing our student advisory meetings again at all 3 high schools. So we'll be driving across the county. The focus tomorrow is student safety. And Mr. Weaver is actually going to help lead that discussion. And we're actually going to be polling the students, basically have them turn their backs, and he's going to ask questions, have them raise their hands, you know, and try to get a feel, an anonymous feel, how they feel about school safety. Do they feel safe? Do they take lockdown drills seriously and so on? So we'll report back to you. But that's going to be really important for us to get a handle on school safety. I know, thank you, Bud, for recommending that we do a workshop on that. I want that to be part of what we bring back to you. We want our kids to feel safe and to be safe. So that's an important thing we'll be doing tomorrow.
Dr. Cernte, do you
Yes.
have a time when you'll be like in the South End?
Tell you what, I have that. Can we send that to them tonight?
I'd like to know too.
Yeah, I've got it, but I will send that to you tonight so you can have that. And would love for you to attend if you have a chance.
Rick, after Columbine, things got really crazy like they did after Parkland, and I know you remember it, we had a community forum where we held it in the Panther Den at Palaca High in the Commons, and it was packed, and everybody just laid out their questions, but I mean, the kids will know more. I mean, they give you the more insight. What you're doing is really good. That is very good.
You know, this time last year, it was troubling for our entire state, and a lot of things that we had to talk about, and there'll be some other things we'll have to talk about after this session. But I commend you on being courageous and us doing the best thing we can to protect our kids. And every time there's an opportunity to learn more, we're going to do that. But that is a big focus of ours. The last thing I want to, I'll pass these times down. This is, if you want to write these down.
What's the date?
That's tomorrow.
Oh, these are tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Make sure I cover all my notes here. The last thing I want to do is ask Felicia to come to the mic. And Felicia's been my mouthpiece here this week. I was at the radio station, and she actually helped talk on the radio for me because my voice is bad. And I want her to talk about a new initiative we have going called Product of Putnam. And what we're trying to do, working with our chamber and our newspaper, is trying to connect students who graduate from our schools and people who work in our county. So if you would, allow Felicia just a few minutes to explain what we're doing.
Hello.
We have a handout too.
Hello, Mom.
Hey. So we're doing a new initiative at the district called Product of Putnam. And essentially what that is a way for us to recognize those people who have gone through our school system and are now contributing to our county. The big picture is that it will encourage students in our school district to say, okay, I can make something of myself. I can go to college. I can go straight into a career and stay in Putnam County and give back and be successful. So we're starting this. We want to start recognizing those people. This will become an annual event. So I give you all nomination forms via paper. You can find these on our website. You can find them on our Facebook page. And hopefully you'll take this form, make copies, and pass it around to others as well. But we started collecting nominations yesterday, and that will run until April 26th, I believe. Then we will collect all of the names that will actually be run through the chamber to do some voting on who the candidates for the Product of Putnam are in certain categories. And we did develop a pretty wide range of categories. We have healthcare, business, entrepreneurs, agriculture, industrial manufacturing, public service, education. Then we also have an other category because we're opening this up to anybody. It could be a retiree who strictly does volunteer work right now. So what category do they fall into? Other. They're, community service, they're volunteers.
Holly ran into one of her students that was working for a state representative up there. So that was really neat.
Corinne Golden.
Yeah.
Is that John?
Corinne Golden.
So
So we're really excited about this. I think it'll really help to identify those individuals in our county, and there's a plethora of them. I opened up the online form today, and it's kind of overwhelming how many nominations we've gone through, and I've read a few of them, and we have some really outstanding people in our community that they just kind of go unnoticed. They don't work for the glory of it, but to be able to start to recognize these people, to make our students aware of these people in our community, and to make our community members aware of it as well, I think is very important. So we're very excited about that. After the chamber votes on these people, we will recognize them at a board meeting here. So we'll be able to give them a nice plaque. We'll be able to take that with them. And like I said, we'll do this annually from this point on.
And they'll be able to
anybody.
go into our schools and actually, talk to our kids, give testimonies. Because we're trying to set an example. And all these categories are actually a lot of those career pathways that we have in our school system right now. So we're trying to encourage kids to really be successful, complete those programs, get a job, come back to Putnam County, or get a degree, pay taxes, all that. So
It's so interesting because I look at Mosley now, and I can remember when Ronnie Clark graduated from law school years ago, and he's passed away now, but he came back to Putnam County and ran his law practice, but I was a student in school, and he came and spoke along with several other guys on how he was from Putnam County and came home, and the same type of thing. And it made us all feel good, all the kids. So this is really nice.
I mentioned today I was speaking at the Rotary about this, and I said, we can go back. It's not just recent graduates. You could have graduated 50 years ago. And Rusty Castleberry came up and said, well, I graduated 49 years ago. Can I?
Yeah, I tutored him all through school, yeah. He and I were in Miss Crawford's class in elementary school when she taught us, yeah.
I want to thank Felicia. She's heading this up, and actually, she's named this program. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us to see some real shining lights in our community. So thank you, Felicia, for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay. Anything else to come before the board? Any other add-ons? All right. Because our executive session for collective bargaining has been canceled, we now declare this meeting officially adjourned.